Okay, so now we're going to move on to percentages. And what we're going to do is we're going to convert, alright, these percentages into decimal numbers. Okay? Now percentages and decimal numbers are related. So when you have 90%, for example, or we'll just do this as an example. Alright? What we're going to do is we're going to take the whole number 90. Okay, write that down. And then to convert this into a decimal, all we do is just move to the right, or to the left, 2 times. So it's 1, 2. So it becomes 0.90. And that's all it is. So what you do is you take the whole number of the percentage, 90, for example 90, and then you just move the decimal point over 2 places. And then it becomes 0.9. So that's what 90% actually means. It means 0.9. Alright, so let's try another problem. So try converting 115.9% into a decimal number. Okay, so let's just write down the whole percentage here, 115.9, right? Okay. Now, what's the rule? We move the decimal number over 2 spots, or two places to the left, right? So 1, 2. So the decimal number is, it's going to be 1.159. Okay. Let's try number 3. Let's try 9%. Pause the video. Okay, now to convert 9% into a decimal, we bring down a 9. Okay. Now we move over 2 spots, right, to the left. 1. Now there isn't, another number before this. So to complete this problem, what we're going to do is we're going to add a 0 before the 9, and then move over 2 spots. So the answer to 9% becomes 0.09. So anytime when you move to the left to write decimals, if you run out of numbers, I guess, what you do is you add a 0 and then move over that decimal spot. Alright, let's try number 4. Well, actually, now number 4, we have a decimal point. So now we want to convert that into percentages. So why don't you try giving it a shot, and then I'll explain it. Pause the video. Okay, so now that we have decimal points, the process of writing decimal points into percentages is just the opposite process. So you remember how to go from percentages to decimals, we move the decimal point to the left. Well, now we're going to move the decimal point to the right 2 times, and then we can get a percentage. So here, 0.452, we're just going to move the decimal point 2 spots. So what this really becomes is 45.2%. That's all I did, was just move the decimal point 2 spots. Let's try another one. Let's try 0.1. Pause the video. Okay, so let's move over to the right 2 times. Let's go once. Well, after 1 there is no number, right? So what we can do is we can add a 0. Alright, add a 0 after the 1, and then move over another spot. So from here, we move 1 spot, and then we move another spot. So the answer is 10%. Okay, so anytime, kind of like where you go from percentage to decimals, If you run out of numbers to go to the right, you can add a 0 and then complete the process. Alright, now what we want to do is try converting this right here, 25%, into a fraction. So let's try 2 steps. First, convert this percentage into a decimal, and then the decimal into a fraction. So let's try that. So 25%, alright, to convert to a decimal, we move over to the right 2 times, so it becomes 0.25. Now we know that 0.25, right, we can write that into a fraction, because this is a tenths and this is hundredths, right? So this really becomes 25 over 100. And then from here, we can reduce. So what factors does 25 and 100 have in common? 5. Okay, so this becomes 5 and 100. So what's 100 divided by 5? That's going to be, let's see, 20, right? Yes. Alright, now we can further simplify. So 5 over 20, 5 goes into 20, well, 5 times, right? So 5 becomes 1, 20 becomes 4. So the final answer is 1 over 4. So the process of converting percentages into fractions is first convert it into decimal point, and from decimal point into a fraction. Okay, let's move on to number 7. So now what we're going to do is convert these fractions, alright, into decimal points. So it's kind of the opposite now, isn't it? So now what we have to do is we want to convert these fractions into percentages. So the first thing we have to do is convert it to a decimal point and then into a percentage. So it's going to be 1 divided by 100, right? Okay, so since 1 is smaller than 100, we're going to have to add in decimal points and zeros. So if we add one more 0, it's still too small. 10 is smaller than 10, so we have to add another decimal point. Okay? Alright, so now we can divide this. Alright? So 100 goes into 100 how many times? 1 time. Now you have to be careful here. You can't write that just down 0.1 because that's not the right answer. What you have to do is write down 0.01. Okay? Because when you added 1 0 here, this is still too small. 10 is still too small than 100. So what you have to do is you have to add a 0, and then you add a 0 over here, and then you could divide. So it becomes 0.01. Okay? So now that we have our decimal number, alright, now to convert this decimal number into percentages, what do? We move our decimal point 2 spaces to the right. So it's 1, 2, so this becomes 1%.